Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is August 27th, and you can see here we're looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. You can see our strong onshore flow going on across the region here. Going to keep most areas below average today, and then we're going to start to warm up early to mid next week as this ridge, you can kind of see it here, is going to form as this trough digs across the Aleutians and out over the Gulf of Alaska, amplifying the ridge over our area. We're going to warm up pretty well here. Check out this upper level low we talked a little bit about yesterday. This is known as a Kona storm for Hawaii, and a lot of times these set up a little bit closer to the islands, especially in the fall months, but this one is far enough away where its impacts are limited on the Hawaiian Islands. Now taking a look here, visible satellite imagery, you can see all the high clouds going across, strong onshore flow, low clouds banking up against the Cascades. Should be some sun breaks around the area today, but for the most part, we're probably going to be a little bit below average for Seattle and Portland, for example. You can see the high clouds across eastern Washington. If you look closely, you can see some of the wave cloud action going on across the higher terrain as well. Now looking at SeaTac yesterday, 4 degrees below average, 17 degrees cooler than the previous day, the August 25th there. 72 degrees at SeaTac. You can see the Seattle Weather Forecast Office in the shores of Lake Washington, 74 yesterday, 2 degrees warmer than SeaTac, 2 degrees below average. Looking at Olympia, also 74 yesterday, a little bit below average again. But we are going to warm up early through next week, on into mid next week coming up. Now looking at the HRRR 3-kilometer high resolution, you can see just maybe a couple more stray showers going on across the west slopes of the Cascades. But then we're going to shut off the precip again for a while here across Pacific Northwest. We'll take a look at that here in a moment. Looking here, the NAM 3KM, you can see our strong onshore flow going on here. Winds coming down the Strait of Georgia, coming on the coastline through the Chehalis Gap into the Puget Sound. East slopes of the Cascades, some pretty good winds going too through the gorge as well. Those westerlies roaring across the area there. But as we go into Sunday morning, you can see this activity start to wane and even start to turn offshore a bit here. And then we're going to start to warm up as we go on through Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday up next week here. And you can plainly see these offshore winds going on at 2,500 feet, 925 millibars across the area here. Now you can see this is the NAM 3KM 6-hour 2-meter max temperature. This is for today. Only calling for mid 60s here. I think we're probably going to get low 70s here. This is probably underdoing it quite a bit. And as we go on in through the next couple of days, you can see probably warming up a bit on Sunday, and then a bit more on Monday, as you can see here. Probably some low 80s coming around for the Seattle area. Getting up into the 80s for Portland and warming back up again for eastern Washington. We'll take a look at some of those more temperatures in a little bit more detail here in a moment also. Now, this is looking at the Pacific Ocean. There's Hawaii, there's Alaska, BC, Washington, Oregon here. And as we put this into motion, you can see that weak system that's scooted by us here, some cooler air aloft. And as we go into the future, you can see that trough digging out across the Gulf of Alaska. It's going to amplify this ridge, and that's why we're going to warm up coming up here this next week. As you can see, our cutoff low here continuing to drift west, cut off from the jet stream there, but you can see that plenty of cold air over the Gulf of Alaska. It's going to spawn some fairly decent, strong, low-pressure systems up here and bring some rain in southeast Alaska, then eventually steer a system towards Vancouver Island here. The model's been kind of back and forth on just how far south that's going to go, but the latest model's been showing that staying north of Washington, for example. Now here we're looking at the same map: Hawaii, Alaska, BC, Washington, Oregon. And as we put this into motion here, you can see that system kind of move through. We're going to end the precip here across much of the Pacific Northwest. And then as we go on into Sunday, Monday, see some precip for western BC, mainly north of Vancouver Island. But then you can see the storm track turn back towards the southeast Alaska areas. We dig this trough over the Gulf of Alaska. We warm up the Pacific Northwest quite nicely here as a fairly deep low moves up towards southeast Alaska. And then you can see this system, kind of an atmospheric river, little feature there pointing north of Vancouver Island. Previous models had this a little bit further south, and you can kind of see by the early portions of September 5th, we start to get maybe a weak front moving through the area here. We'll continue to watch that, but we'll continue to watch for some storm development further on down the line here too for the Pacific Northwest. Now looking here, this is 18,000 feet, 500 millibars. You can see the system move through. Then we quickly dig this trough and really build a fairly strong ridge over the area here going on through early mid next week. That'll bring the heat. We'll look at those temperatures here in a moment. But then you can see that kind of kicking through and potentially bringing a system here through later on through next week, Trough continues to dig, gets pretty close here as we go into the following week as well. We'll continue to watch this. There's great uncertainty in this forecast as of now. As you can see, the GFS really building a strong trough here down the west coast of North America in the extended forecast here. But again, this has kind of been changing as we've been looking at the extended runs the last few days. So we'll just go ahead and monitor that. Of course, we're getting too far out there to be concerned with that at this point. Here's the European ensembles. This is the average of all 50 ensemble runs. This was the 060 runs. Let this one go ahead and play out. There goes our system. Trough digging. Good agreement with that heat coming next week. And then you can see that trough getting close and ending our heat wave by the end of next week. As you can see, this general troughing over southern Alaska, over the Gulf of Alaska here, and the ridge kind of pushing off to the east, which would end our heat wave across the region. Here's the GFS ensemble mean. This is hot off the press here. Let's update this so we have as much information as we can gather here. There goes our upper level low moving through today. And we build that ridge. Good agreement there on this ridge coming up here. High confidence in this heat coming next week. Then you can see the GFS actually holds this trough a little bit further back here, but then it starts to encroach on the area. And then maybe even backing up a little bit more, showing a little bit of ridging and troughing nearby. So, yeah, we still have some work to do here on what's coming after this next heat wave, and then general cool down. And then what's after that, of course, as always, is low confidence at this point. Now, checking this out, Portland, look at these onshore flow days, and then quickly starting to warm back up Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, then cooling down again with the end of the heat wave, then potentially even bouncing back a little bit next weekend. So we'll continue to watch that for Portland. This is Seattle, Tacoma. Look at Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even flirting with a 90-degree day if we really get lucky there, or that's speaking as a heat lover there. You know, I know a lot of people around here want to see fall finally arrive, but we're going to be warm at least here on Tuesday and Wednesday, probably well into the 80s for SeaTac, maybe upper 80s, even flirting with 90 on Tuesday. Now, checking this out, you can see several runs ago, it had a pretty wet system impacting Seattle. Then it took a couple runs off. Then it brought it back again. Then it took it away again yesterday afternoon. So that's kind of the name of the game here as you're looking out into extended forecast here. It's why you got to take things with a grain of salt when you're looking that far out. This is early September here, but latest model runs showing that storm track remaining mainly Vancouver Island northward, even north of Vancouver Island. Now looking for Pendleton here, you can see the warm-up coming this week, flirting with 100 degrees, then the general cool down, then maybe a bounce back the following weekend before possibly another cool down there. But yeah, you can see, enjoy these temperatures here coming up Saturday, Sunday before we start to warm up again Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for eastern portions especially. Look at the Tri-Cities into the hundreds here. This is the European also. Yesterday afternoon, 3 days above 100 would be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So heads up for that before a cool down, then maybe even a bit of a bounce back as we go through next weekend. But enjoy these temperatures here for this weekend. Today, tomorrow, Monday starts to warm up, then really hot again Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. This is max temperature departure from average from late July through August here. You can see the Pacific Northwest, very warm, above average for basically every single region here. I don't see any greens on here, do you? Maybe extreme southern Idaho, but you can see that monsoon season signal there, keeping Arizona, portions of Nevada, the deserts of California actually below average. As you can see, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico included in that as well. But you can see the heat there over the Pacific Northwest, especially eastern portions and the Cascades, Oregon, Washington, higher terrain of Montana, Idaho Panhandle there. Now looking at percentage of average precipitation since late June. Look at this. Western Washington, very dry. Portions of Portland, Willamette Valley as well. You can see there are some little spots in here where they did get above average precipitation. And you can see, again, that monsoon signal here really bringing above average precipitation across Nevada, California deserts. Death Valley's been getting more precipitation this summer than Seattle, for example. So, yeah, strong monsoon season signal there. Very dry Cascades and West. So, okay, so taking a look at things here, we're going to be dealing with these onshore flow. Very comfortable temperatures here for the next couple of days, but the heat is coming back again, folks, for all areas. We might even flirt with 90 in Seattle, probably in the 90s for Portland. Eastern areas are really going to warm up here as we go through mid next week. And then we're going to cool things down again and then potentially bounce back a bit after that. But that forecast is getting a little too far out there for now. And we'll just continue to monitor that, and we'll check things out in tomorrow's forecast here. So, Yeah, keep clicking like, subscribe if you haven't, turn on your notifications, and leave some comments below, things you'd like me to cover and see. We are in a fairly slow period here right now. We don't have any major storms on our doorstep, even though something could swing through early September. Active weather is not here yet, but we are going to build another little heat wave here coming next week. So anyway, we'll go over it in more detail tomorrow. We'll check out the forecast, try to get some a little bit more consistency in the extended forecast, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.